Robert Kiyosaki built an entire empire on one sentence that sounds almost crazy the first time you hear it. The rich, he says, don't work for money. Now hold on, because your whole life you were probably taught the exact opposite. Work hard, chase the paycheck, get the raise. And Kiyosaki says that right there, that mindset, is the trap that keeps normal people running in circles their entire lives. His book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is one of the best-selling personal finance books of all time, tens of millions of copies, because it flips everything you were taught about money on its head. He grew up with two father figures. His real dad, highly educated, worked hard his whole life, and still struggled with money. And his best friend's dad, who dropped out of school early, but became one of the richest men around. Same effort. Totally different results. The difference was how they thought about money. So let's decode the core lessons, the ones that made Kiyosaki famous, and see why the rich really don't work for money. Here's the story that started it all. Kiyosaki had, in his words, two dads. One he calls the poor dad, his biological father, a smart, hard-working, highly educated man with a stable government job. The other, his rich dad, the father of his childhood best friend, who never finished school but built a business empire. Both men gave young Robert advice about money, and their advice was completely opposite. The poor dad said, go to school, get good grades, and find a safe, secure job. The rich dad said, learn how money works, and make it work for you. The poor dad said, I can't afford it. The rich dad banned that phrase, and forced himself to ask instead, how can I afford it? One statement shuts your brain off. The other forces it to find a way. And that tiny difference in thinking, repeated over a lifetime, is why one man retired wealthy and free, and the other worked hard until the end and still worried about bills. It was never about the salary. It was about the mindset. Here's what the rich mindset actually looks like. Lesson number 1. Most people are stuck in what Kiyosaki calls the rat race. And it works like this. You go to work, you get paid, and then almost all of it goes right back out, rent, bills, food, the car. So you have to go back to work again, to do it all over. The more you earn, the more you spend, so you never actually get ahead. You're running on a wheel, faster and faster, but going nowhere. Kiyosaki says the rich escape this because they don't work for money. They work to build or buy assets, and then those assets earn the money for them. Instead of trading their time for a paycheck forever, they use their time to create something that pays them again and again. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich make money work for them. That's the whole difference. And step 1 to escaping the wheel is simply seeing that you're on it, and deciding you want off. Because most people never even notice the wheel. They just run. Lesson number 2, and Kiyosaki says this is the one thing that matters most. You have to know the difference between an asset and a liability. And his definition is beautifully simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That's it. The rich spend their lives buying assets, things like stocks, rental properties, and businesses, that feed money back to them every month. The poor and middle class pile up liabilities they think are assets. And here's his most controversial point. Your house, he argues, is often not the asset you think it is, because every month it takes money out, the mortgage, taxes, repairs. Now, plenty of experts push back on that one, and honestly, a home can build wealth over time. But the lesson underneath is what matters. Before you buy something big, ask one question. Does this put money in my pocket, or take it out? The rich get richer because they keep stacking their asset column. Do that, patiently, and the assets eventually pay for your lifestyle. That's the goal. Lesson number 3. Kiyosaki says most people pick a job for the paycheck. The rich, when they're young, pick opportunities for what they'll learn. His advice, work to learn, don't just work to earn. Because the skills you build, selling, investing, communicating, leading, understanding how money and business actually work, those pay you for the rest of your life, long after any single paycheck is spent. He tells how his rich dad had him do all kinds of jobs in his businesses, not for the money, but so he'd understand how the whole machine worked. That education became worth millions. So instead of chasing a slightly bigger salary at a job where you learn nothing new, Kiyosaki says think like this: which path teaches me the most? Which one builds skills I could one day use to create my own assets? A job should be a classroom, not just a paycheck. The single most powerful asset you have, he says, is your own mind. What you feed it, and what you learn to do with it, decides everything else. Invest there first. Lesson number 4, and this is the one that actually stops most people. Fear. Kiyosaki says the reason the poor stay poor and the middle class stays stuck isn't a lack of money. It's two emotions, fear and desire, running the show. Fear of losing money keeps people from ever investing, so they cling to a paycheck and play it safe forever. And desire, wanting to look good right now, makes them spend every raise instead of building assets. Together, those two feelings keep you on the wheel for life. The rich feel the exact same fear. The difference is they don't let it make their decisions. They learn the game so the fear gets smaller, they start small, they make mistakes, and they treat those mistakes as tuition. Kiyosaki says failing is simply part of winning. The people who avoid all risk, who never try, guarantee the one outcome they were afraid of, staying broke. So the move is not to be fearless. It's to feel the fear, get educated, and take the small step anyway. That's how you break the cycle. So let's bring it home. Robert Kiyosaki's whole message comes down to this. The rich don't work for money, they make money work for them. They buy assets that put cash in their pocket, they run from liabilities dressed up as assets, they work to learn instead of just to earn, and they refuse to let fear run their decisions. None of that requires a rich family or a fancy degree. His own rich dad had neither. It requires a different way of thinking, the one school never taught you. Now, you don't have to agree with every single thing Kiyosaki says, and smart people debate him. But the core is hard to argue with. Stop only trading your hours for a paycheck, and start building something that pays you. So here's your first step, tonight. Buy, or even just research, one small asset. 1. And commit to learning how money really works, 10 minutes a day. That's how you start stepping off the wheel. If this opened your eyes, subscribe to Money Decoded USA, real money help, no hype. Your money's been decoded. Now go make it work for you.